You are not as exposed as you think. You walk through the world assuming you're vulnerable. You touch surfaces. You breathe shared air. You sit next to strangers. You let your guard down because, realistically, you can't control everything. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this quiet assumption. If something harmful gets in, I'll probably get sick. But that's not what's actually happening. What's actually happening is this. You are constantly being exposed to things that could harm you, and most of the time, nothing happens. Not because you're lucky, not because the world is clean, but because something inside you is already handling it. Your immune system is not passive. It's not waiting for you to notice a problem before it acts. It's not reactive in the way you think. It's active, constantly. Right now, as you're reading this, your body is identifying, evaluating, and neutralizing microscopic threats without asking for your attention. And that changes how you should see yourself. Because most people move through life thinking they're fragile. But the truth is, you are far more defended than you realize. You don't notice the thousands of small battles your body wins every day. You only notice the rare times it struggles. That creates a distorted perception. You think you're weak because you remember the times you got sick. But if you zoom out, the real pattern is this. You survive exposure over and over again without even realizing it. This isn't motivational thinking. This is a systems reality. Your body is designed to expect threat, not avoid it completely, not eliminate it from your environment, but to meet it, respond to it, and adapt to it. And once you understand that, something shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone constantly at risk, and you start seeing yourself as someone already equipped to handle more than you think. What you can't see is what shapes your experience. The problem is not that your body is failing you. The problem is that you only notice it when it does. You don't feel the thousands of times your immune system quietly does its job. You don't get a notification when a virus is destroyed in your throat. You don't feel a signal when bacteria are neutralized on your skin. There is no feedback loop for success, only for failure, and that creates a psychological bias. You start to associate your body with moments of weakness, fever, fatigue, pain. Those are the moments that stand out. Those are the ones you remember. But those moments are not the full story. They are the exception. What you're missing is the invisible baseline, the constant, uninterrupted function of a system that is working correctly. This is not just about biology. This is how your brain works in general. You notice problems more than stability. You remember pain more than protection. You react to what interrupts you, not what sustains you. So when your body feels off, your mind tells a story. Something is wrong with me. But most of the time, what you're actually experiencing is not failure. It's process. A fever is not your body breaking down. It's your body increasing temperature on purpose to slow down invaders. Fatigue is not random weakness. It's your body redirecting energy away from unnecessary activity so it can focus on defense. Loss of appetite is not dysfunction. It's a temporary shift in priority. Your system is not confused. It's making decisions. And once you understand that, you stop reacting emotionally to every symptom. You start asking better questions. What is my body trying to do right now? What process is this part of? That shift matters. Because the moment you stop seeing symptoms as isolated problems, you start seeing them as signals within a system. And systems don't act randomly. They act with purpose, even when that purpose is uncomfortable. Your body is not reacting, it's following a system. When you feel something in your body, a headache, a fever, a sudden wave of fatigue, it's easy to think of it as random. Something just happened. But your body doesn't operate on randomness. It operates on rules. Every response you feel is part of a sequence. Something entered. Something was detected. A signal was sent. A response was triggered. That's the structure. And once you start seeing that structure, your experience changes. Because instead of reacting emotionally to the outcome, you begin to understand the process behind it. Take a simple example. You wake up feeling heavy. Your body is warm. Your throat feels slightly off. Your first instinct might be, I'm getting sick. And that's not wrong, but it's incomplete. What's actually happening is more specific than that. A pathogen likely entered your system hours, or even a day, before you felt anything. Your immune system detected it early, before you were even aware. It began releasing signals to activate defense cells. It increased your body temperature slightly to make the environment less favorable for the invader. It started reallocating energy away from movement and toward internal processes. By the time you notice symptoms, The system is already in motion. You're not at the beginning of the problem. You're in the middle of the solution. That's the part most people miss. Symptoms feel like the start of something going wrong. But in many cases, they're evidence that your body has already identified the problem and is working through it. This is why trying to suppress every symptom without understanding it can sometimes work against you. Not always, but often. Because you're interrupting a process you didn't take the time to understand. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore symptoms or avoid treatment. It means you change how you interpret what's happening. You move from panic to observation, from reaction to understanding. You start asking, what step of the process am I in? What is my body trying to accomplish right now? That shift gives you something most people don't have: clarity. And clarity reduces unnecessary fear. Because when you understand that your body is following a system, not just reacting randomly, you stop feeling like you're at the mercy of it. You start recognizing that there is structure underneath the discomfort. And structure is something you can learn, respect, and support. Most of the work happens before you feel anything. You tend to think that your body starts responding when you feel something. But that's not how it works. By the time you notice a symptom, your body has already been working for hours, or even days. There is a delay between action and awareness. And that delay matters, because it changes how you interpret what's happening. Let's make this concrete. You don't suddenly catch a cold the moment you feel a sore throat. What actually happened is this. You were exposed earlier. The virus entered your system quietly. Your immune system recognized something unfamiliar. It began responding immediately, long before you noticed anything. Cells started communicating. Signals were sent. Defenses were mobilized. All of that happened in the background. No pain, no discomfort, no awareness. Then, at some point, the response becomes strong enough that you feel it. That's when symptoms appear. But symptoms are not the beginning. They are the visible layer of something that's already been in motion. This is where most people misinterpret their experience. They assume, I felt it, so it just started. But what they're actually feeling is the accumulation of a process. And this misunderstanding leads to unnecessary fear, because it makes everything feel sudden, unpredictable, out of control. But when you understand the delay, something changes. You realize that your body is not late. It's ahead. It detected the issue before you did. It started responding before you were aware. It is operating on a timeline that doesn't depend on your attention. And that's not a flaw. That's the design. Your awareness is not required for your body to function, which means you don't need to micromanage every sensation. You don't need to react to every small shift with anxiety. Because most of the time, what you're feeling is not uncertainty. It's progress moving into your awareness. And when you see it that way, you stop chasing control. You start trusting the sequence. You don't need to control it. You need to support it. Once you understand that your body is running a system, the next instinct is control. You want to optimize it, fix it, make sure it never fails. That's a natural reaction. But it's also where people start working against themselves. Because your immune system is not something you control directly. You can't manually tell your white blood cells where to go. You can't consciously increase antibody production. You can't decide, in real time, how your body should respond to a virus. That level of control doesn't exist. What does exist is influence. And there's a difference. Control is trying to override the system. Support is creating the conditions for the system to work properly. Most people blur that line. They think doing more means helping more. But in biological systems, more is not always better. More stress does not improve performance. More restriction does not guarantee better outcomes. More intervention does not always mean faster recovery. In fact, unnecessary interference can slow things down. Think about what happens when you don't sleep enough. You're not directly attacking your immune system, but you are removing one of the conditions it depends on. The result is slower response, weaker defense, longer recovery. The same pattern shows up with nutrition, stress, and rest. Your body doesn't need you to micromanage it. It needs you to stop disrupting it. That's a shift most people don't make. They look for complexity when the system is already designed to handle complexity. What it needs from you is simplicity. Sleep when your body asks for it. Eat in a way that supports energy, not just preference. Give yourself space to recover instead of pushing through everything. These are not advanced strategies. They are basic conditions. But they are the difference between a system that operates smoothly and one that is constantly under strain. You don't build strength by forcing the system. You build it by allowing the system to do what it's already designed to do, without unnecessary resistance. And once you understand that, your role becomes clearer. You are not the operator. You are the environment. Why getting sick doesn't mean you're weak. There's a quiet judgment people carry when they get sick. It's not always loud, but it's there. I must have done something wrong. My body is weak. I should have prevented this. That reaction makes sense if you believe that the goal is to never get sick. But that's not how the system is designed. Your immune system is not built to eliminate all exposure. It's built to respond to it. And that means getting sick is not always a sign of failure. Sometimes, it's a sign that your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Think about what has to happen for you to feel sick. A pathogen has to enter your body. Your system has to detect it. It has to decide that the threat is significant enough to respond strongly. It has to activate multiple layers of defense. What you feel, the fever, the fatigue, the discomfort, is the result of that activation. So when you say, "I got sick," what you're really describing is not just the presence of a virus. You're describing the presence of a response. And that response is what protects you from something worse. If your body didn't react, the outcome wouldn't be comfort. It would be unchecked damage. That's an important shift, because it reframes sickness from something purely negative into something functional. Not pleasant, not something you want often, but something that has a role. This is especially clear when you compare different people. Children get sick more often, not because they are weaker in a simple sense, but because their immune system is still learning. Each exposure is part of building memory. Each response is part of refining the system. Over time, the body becomes faster, more efficient, more precise. So frequency of sickness doesn't always equal fragility. Sometimes, it reflects adaptation and progress. And even in adults, occasional illness is part of maintaining that system. Your body is constantly updating its understanding of the environment. It doesn't live in isolation. It lives in interaction. So instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" a more accurate question is, "What did my body need to respond to?" That question removes blame. It replaces it with understanding. Because the goal is not to avoid every instance of sickness. The goal is to have a system that can handle it when it happens. And if you've ever been sick and recovered, that's already evidence of that system working, not failing. The quiet confidence of understanding your body. Most people don't trust their body. Not fully. They rely on it when things feel normal. But the moment something feels off, that trust disappears. It turns into doubt, then worry, then sometimes fear. And that reaction doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from not understanding what's happening. When you don't understand a system, every unexpected output feels like a problem. But when you do understand it, even at a basic level, your relationship with it changes. You don't panic as quickly. You don't jump to worst-case conclusions. You don't feel the need to control everything immediately. You observe first. That's what this whole shift leads to. Not blind trust. Not ignoring symptoms. Not pretending everything is fine. But grounded confidence. The kind that comes from knowing that your body is not random. It is structured. It is responsive. It is constantly adjusting based on what it detects. And most importantly, it is on your side. That doesn't mean it's perfect. There will be moments where things don't go smoothly. There will be times when intervention is needed. But those moments don't erase the larger pattern. A system that works far more often than it fails. A system that has carried you through every exposure you've ever had up to this point. You're still here. And that's not an accident. That's the result of a system doing its job over and over again. When you see that clearly, something settles. You don't feel the need to constantly monitor yourself. You don't overreact to every sensation. You don't assume the worst at the first sign of discomfort. You become steadier, more patient, more grounded in how you respond to your own body. And that matters more than most people realize. Because how you interpret what you feel directly affects how you react to it. And how you react can either support the system or work against it. So the goal is not to eliminate discomfort completely. It's to meet it with understanding. To recognize when your body is asking for support, not panic. And to respond in a way that aligns with how the system actually works. That's where real confidence comes from. Not from control, but from clarity.